Nation, welcome to the Brave 50 post show. An incredible month for us. 4 monster events in 21 days, and I am the Roaring Lion, Carlos Kremer, joined by Irish Thunder Phil Campbell, Jose Shorty Torres, and the OG of MMA, Kiriks Jenness. Phil, what an incredible monster event. Every event got better and better and better. Into the stratosphere that we went with Brave Combat Federation, and our main event, once again, Jarrah Al-Salawi, with those incredible leg kicks, like a bat that you heard across the arena and through the world, and he retains his title yet again.
Unbelievable performance from a man who is undoubtedly the best super welterweight in the world right now. The MMA media has this tendency when they're doing the breakdowns of the fight to almost count Jarrah out a little bit, to say this is the toughest test of his career. Every time they do that, he passes that test with flying colours. We saw him do that against a global superstar in Ismail Nordev. The game plan was to chop down the lead leg, and they've done that so expertly to the point where I wouldn't be surprised if we hear tomorrow that Ismail Nordev has a broken leg, Carlos.
I wouldn't doubt it either. Jarrah Al-Salawi, like you said, has been counted out so many times. People are questioning him. So many times they think that this man is finally going to fall, but he carries the nation of Shorty on his back, and he does it every single time with flying colors.
He's beaten, he has a resume, what Phil and I were talking about. His resume is outstanding, and what's next for him? I say let's bump up a weight class. We're saying possibly the trilogy with Muhammad Fakhreddin, and hoping that Muhammad Fakhreddin recovers well from whatever he's suffering with. I know he's ill for whatever it is, whether it's COVID complications. I believe he passed the test, so it shouldn't be maybe food poisoning. But again, this is part of the sport, hopefully, and my condolences, he recovers well. But that would be awesome to see Jarrah bump up, had that trilogy. I believe, what would you say, they were 1-1?
1-1.
It'd be an awesome, fan-entertaining fight, especially here in the Middle East. This is what? 2 history-making fighters, the 2 best of the best Arabic fighters the world's ever seen, going against back-to-back with each other in a trilogy rubber matchup. That's exciting to see.
To throw a little bit of a wrench into it there, Jarrah Al-Salawi did say in the post-fight that he wants to solidify his position as the greatest super welterweight ever. He's also one-on-one with Carl Bomber Booth. So that could also be an added extra little bit of spice, just to throw it into the mix there.
Booth looked phenomenal today as well.
Great point.
Incredible knockout for Carl Booth. Just laying down the hammer. As well, we must say that Anton Turkalj, a 13-second knockout, the fastest knockout in Brave Combat Federation history, and he came out to 9-5 by Dolly Parton. Amazing story there. Kieran, tell us your thoughts on the night. Tell us your thoughts, how incredibly grateful you are to be part of this history-making organization that is changing the landscape of mixed martial arts worldwide.
Brave Combat Federation, before I get to what I love most about this card, and there was a lot, I have to give all credit to Sheikh Khalid bin Hamad Al Khalifa. He has a vision for mixed martial arts that's better than the one we had before, and now you saw it. This has been an incredible 4 shows in 21 days. First show, Asian domination. On paper, looked good, not great. Had more viral highlights than I can ever remember. Second show, Arabian Night. It showed the warrior heart of Arab peoples. It was absolutely unbelievable. The third show, super fights, and there were super fights. I thought absolutely it could not be topped, and it was topped tonight on the 16 fight Brave 50 by Sheikh Khalid. I could not tell you with words how much I respect what you have done.
Sheikh Khalid bin Hamad Al Khalifa has changed more lives than any man I've ever met in my life. Thousands of lives, and most of the lives he changes, we don't even know about. He is a humble leader. He is a man that does it for the pure love of the sport. Shorty, we had some incredible flyweight fights tonight. Why don't you break down Bagatinov versus Dustin Ortiz for us as well? Veli Murad coming out victorious over Zach Mikowski. Now you're going against Ali Bagatinov. How do you feel about that? You guys had an amazing face-off inside the cage.
I just want to say I'm so terrified because I'm hanging out with all the Russians after this, and all 4 of them looked at me, from the 2 Americans, or excuse me, the 2 Americans and the 2 Russians. I mean, this was the Cold War type of night, and Russia won. Russia dominated. But you look at the very first fight, Zach Mikowski versus Vali Morad. That fight was just like the first one, back and forth, and they both adapted very, very well. Zach Mikowski, again, with Kiriks, you and I did have it cited 2 rounds to 1, Vali Morad winning that 3rd round, but we're not the judges. We don't get paid for this. We're enjoying the show, and that was just our opinion, and the judges gave it to Vali Morad, and honestly, we could see it going either way, but it was such a tough fight, and showing that Vali Morad, being now, I believe, a 9-fight, 10-fight veteran, going against a 30-plus fight veteran, and Zach Mikowski, who's fought some of the best, another guy in Dustin Ortiz just as well. These guys pushed the pace, and Vali Morad adapted well at his age, in the prime of his career, and now is in the finals, waiting to see who's going to win between myself and Ali. And Ali and Dustin Ortiz, man, that was a fight just for me as fan entertaining. I watched both of these guys growing up. I think we were talking about, I made my amateur debut around the same time they, were, I think, so many fights in their professional career already, So for me, in general, it was just a fan entertaining fight, and an honor to watch in person and commentate for. But watching these guys fight, the experience level, the veteranness, and the respect they had, it almost looked like they were kind of sparring because of how smooth it was in their movements, how methodical it was, and how strategic just chess match really was, and how they pushed the pace. And Ali, man, I thought Dustin Ortiz was going to win because of his speed, but Ali adapted very well, was able to set up his one-shot powerful counter strikes and solidify how great of a sambo. What was his accolades? Like, was there
3 times world champion, 1-time European champion, 5-time Russian national champion, master of sport in 6 different combative sports, and a Russian national Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champion.
And then I had to face off with him after. So, one of the things that, going into it, it is, a studying experience for both those fights in general for Vali Morad in the finals. My first fight is against Ali, and watching this, I know what I have to do against him. I've already spoken to 2 of my head coaches, looking at figuring out what I need to do, what I can't do, and obviously my biggest thing is stop starting slow, move my head, but that's just in general for any opponent. But Ali's a very dangerous guy, and again, I'm a big anime fan. I love Goku, and I think I kind of embody that thing of, if it's a challenging person and I'm afraid of them, I start to shiver because of excitement. I have that anxiety of, I know if I don't get the best training possible, I'm going to get destroyed in this fight. And Ali dominated Dustin in these crucial situations, and if I come in the same way I fought Blaine O'Driscoll, no offense to Blaine, we had a fantastic fight, but just Ali's at another level, and if I'm not 100% there, it's just going to be an easy match for Ali, and I want this to be, a Rocky IV type of thing, and see where it goes from there. But man, shout out to both those guys.
It was an incredible night, the greatest flyweight tournament in the history of our sport, and we've got Shorty Torres right in the thick of things, and it is going to be fun.
I'm so terrified.
Phil, getting back to this monster card, we had so many stars tonight. Everybody produced. Everybody brought their A game. What was a special fight to you that stood out amongst all of these incredible bouts?
A special fight for me has to be Maciej Grzeszewski taking on Felipe Silva. Primarily, and I'm going to be completely biased here, Maciej Grzeszewski is my friend, is my teammate. To see him get a knockout against a veteran like Felipe Silva really shows to me and the world that Maciej Grzeszewski deserves to be at this level. Also, Anton Turkalj with that record-breaking knockout, spinning backfist, runs out here like he's somewhere to be, like he has a phone call to take, comes back in. That was great to see.
That was the best thing in the world.
What I love about Anton is he plays the goofy role, he plays the playful role, but when he gets in there, he is danger incarnate. He is danger, ferocity personified. Also great to see him get the win.
You know what? He has such a confidence about him. He has such a laid-back way until he gets in the cage, like you said, and he's an absolute killer. And his interview was very interesting to hear, because he knows in his heart that he thinks he is the best fighter in the world.
I asked him, do you have a message for the guys competing for the light heavyweight title, before we knew obviously that it would not be happening. He said no, they should have a message for me. They need to come to me. I am the best light heavyweight in Brave Combat Federation. They need to come to talk to me.
Kiriks, what special fight stood out for you tonight in this book of all-star bouts?
It's the easiest. I feel a little bit cheap saying it, but the guy that impressed me absolutely the most is the undisputed super welterweight champion of the world, Jirah Al-Silawi. I believe he broke his opponent's leg, and he made it look easy. I thought it was going to be a long, hard night for him, and I was wrong. My hat goes off to him, and I have to say as well, credit goes as well to Coach Samuel Jamal.
Coach Samuel Jamal from Mat 05 Jiu-Jitsu had an incredible camp. We've got to remember Coach Ali from Gladiator MMA. He was as prepared as he has ever been, and he is one scary individual. We had Rustem, the Russian bear, Shazayev. Wow, is he a tough guy to fight, Phil? He's like fighting with a wet blanket all over you, and this man doesn't give you any room to breathe.
First off, I'm surprised that the commission let this man fight wearing a woolly jumper in the cage. Absolutely terrifying. One of the best grapplers, pure grapplers in the sport of mixed martial arts today. Brendan Lasar is no joke. What he did was get on top of him, use expert grappling and punch him out. It didn't look like these were huge shots being landed, but then in between rounds, when you saw the face of Lazar, he was incapacitated. He was unable to go on from the first round to the second round, giving Rustam Shazayev his very first no-mass moment in mixed martial arts.
Shorty, again, with this card tonight, so exciting, so many great fights on hand. What other fight to you stood out above all the rest?
For me, I think the most fan entertaining fight, and we got a lot of respect just watching the fight, was it Ruzbioyev? I can't say his name.
Ruzbioyev.
Versus Amin.
Yes.
And that was spectacular because Amin is a champion. He was ready for a 5-round fight, had a last-minute opponent come in, and the last-minute opponent put on a show. Honestly, it was like Blaine O'Driscoll, where you're just like, all right, let's see how this goes. Maybe he has one round in him, and out of nowhere, it's just spectacular. Something comes back. But for Ruzbioyev, he just pushed the pace the entire time, was able to drop the champ, I believe, twice. Once in the first round, another time in the second round. Guy, I wouldn't say dominated, but definitely, beat up in that third round. But every single time was pushing that pace, and for us as commentators, we're like, oh, what's happening next? Because he looked like he was out of it, looked like he already was done. His load was gone, and then out of nowhere, closes his eyes, throws a punch, and he's dropping his opponent, dropping the champion, or reversing him in different positions. And just out of respect to take the champion to the distance in a last-minute fight, a week's notice, if not a little less, without really a proper weight cut, making this a catch weight. Did he have a camp? I don't know, but he pushed the pace, and for me, that's a lot of respect to both those fighters.
Now, Kiriks, before we get to you, we've got to give incredible props to Gustavo Firmino and the Hawk, Mohammed Shahid, our president who carries out the vision of Sheikh Khalid bin Ahmad Al Khalifa to an absolute T. That Amin Ayub fight, Kiriks, was really, really brilliant. He got tested in more ways than he's ever been tested that I've seen, and he came out on top.
He did. It's not often in a fight that I can say for both fighters my estimation of them went up enormously, and when one of them is the champion of the world, it's really hard to up your estimation, but I did. Absolutely was one of the best fights of the entire night, and this is one of the best nights in mixed martial arts history.
Kiriks, how important have these 4 events been, especially during the time of the pandemic, during the time with other promotions being inactive, not having the resources to put on events, not being able to employ their fighters, the ones that live and die for this sport? It is so incredibly crucial, and we have to mention again how being part of the Brave family, you get to do, Shorty, what you love in one of the hardest periods in the history of mankind.
I just want to say personally, I've been out here for a month, since the beginning of March. The restrictions right when I got in were extremely tight. There wasn't anything you could do. Immediately, they said at the hotel, you can't use the workout room and you can't use the sauna. Dude, I'm cutting weight. I have no choice but to use the workout room and sauna. Cool, we're gonna figure it out where no one is allowed in the room besides you and your coach. That is it. And everything had to be time restricted. To me, my schedule, and I had to work out twice a day, was 10 to 12 to 10 p.m. to midnight, and 5 in the morning to 7 in the morning. And then the rest of the day, figure out what I need to do, whether it's a media or whatever, we're Brave, and do that every single day. When the fighters slowly started to show up, then the restrictions slowly started to open up because, again, COVID started to lessen here in the Kingdom of Bahrain, and it got easier for us. And now the restrictions are a lot lighter where there were multiple fighters in both the workout room and sauna. But for me, being out here, especially for the Asian domination and the other cards leading up to that, it was a struggle for those fighters, and those fighters trying to make weight. They did everything possible, but for a promotion, like you said, other promotions aren't running right now, and big promotions aren't running right now. So they have Brave, not just Brave in general, but the Kingdom of Bahrain hosts us for 4 straight events, and any promotion that knows, 4 straight events back to back, during COVID restrictions, during travel restrictions, with missed weights, with fighters pulling out because of whatever sickness, whatever the case may be, last-minute opponents, obviously mine as well. Man, for Brave to do that, that's just kudos to you guys, an amazing job for everyone a part of the Brave team.
Now, Phil, I've got to go to you. We've got SPG Ireland on the map again tonight with Coach John Kavanagh. Brad Superman Katona, what an incredible battle that he had, and he came out on top with some impressive jiu-jitsu.
First off, it was great to see Brad Katona back inside a cage, doing what he does best, doing what he loves. What I really appreciate and respect about Brad Katona is just what an analytical, cerebral fighter he is. Obviously, under the tutelage of John Kavanagh, he's coming from one of the best gyms, not just in Europe, but one of the best gyms in the world. When he got the squeeze, he knew he had it, and it was flawless jiu-jitsu. Didn't flap back with it, curled up into his opponent, but credit has to go to Borislav Nikolic. He came in 8-0, undefeated, and really took the fight to Brad Katona. So props to him, but at the end of the day, the class, determination, analytical reads that Brad Katona were making won him the fight.
Now, Kirik, before we leave, we've got to give incredible props to KHK MMA. And you know what? KHK Team Bahrain really came during these 4 events. They lost 1 match. That's it. 1. And Coach Eldar Eldarov and His Highness, they have led the way with an amazing team, the best in the world. That is for all the world to watch and see how good and how impressive these folks are.
Absolutely. As I've gone over before, all of these fights were fair. You can look at the numbers and you can look at what actually happened. These were fair fights. It is true. Team KHK did come out ahead in almost all of them, but they were close fights, and you could see a normal fighter in many of these cases would have wilted. KHK fighters don't wilt.
All right. I mean, you look at some of the fighters a part of my team. Myself versus Blaine O'Driscoll, 9-3 versus 9-1-1. You had Valley Morad versus a 30-fight veteran. Valley Morad having, I think, only 9 fights at the moment, if not 10. You have so many more. Again, you have one guy that, you know, it's part of the sport. It happens. I think there was one, the very first event, found out about his fight 12 hours before it happened and was able to get a very dominant win. So again, these KHK fighters, for being a part of the team, practicing here for a month, they were ready. And all the guys that stepped in, whether win, lose, whatever the performance may be, they put on an amazing show, and they had these guys ready at any single moment, especially a 12-hour notice. It's phenomenal, and we're all game, and it's a pleasure to be, you know, part of KHK MMA here in Bahrain and taking care of Sheikh Khalid bin Hamad Al Khalifa, and we couldn't do this without you. Thank you so much to everyone part of KHK MMA, Sheikh Khalid, and Brave in general.
Shorty, you're one of the original members of KHK MMA. You've seen the growth, the explosion, the volcanic eruption of this team. And I just wanted to say to everybody out there in the entire world of Brave Nation and all of our supporters, we appreciate you so much. Hit us up with all of your emails, questions, Twitter, Instagram. We love interacting with you because we love what we do. And that's taking the game of mixed martial arts to the next level, to frontiers that have never been taken before. I'm the Roaring Lion, Carlos Kremer. For Phil Campbell, Shorty Torres, and Kiriks Jenness, we are signing out, grateful and humble for our Brave 50th event. I cannot believe we are here already. It has been an amazing journey, and we're just getting started. Have a great night, Brave Nation. Thank you.